Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 6 p.m. here in Cairo. Time to have a look on the latest news from Channel 2. I'm Abir Mitwali. I'll be presenting the news, starting off with the headlines, followed by the news in detail. President Abdel Sisi says that increasing foreign currency resources leads to offering enough commodity stocks. President Sisi meets with the Qatari Prime Minister and stresses rejection of military occupation of Gaza. And Foreign Minister Badr Abdel Ati and Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa visit Rafah border crossing as Gaza-bound aid continues entry. Welcome back. The news in detail. President Abdel Sisi on Monday said increasing available hard currency resources will reflect positivity on offering enough stocks of different commodities, including industry inputs, petroleum products. The remarks were made at the meeting with Central Bank Governor Hassan Abdullah. The meeting discussed different aspects of the Egyptian economy, including continuous efforts to reduce inflation and to increase state reserves of foreign currencies. Presidential spokesperson Ambassador Mohammed we said the meeting also probed the means of offering more opportunities and financing for the private sector in order to stimulate economic growth and help increase investments flow. President Abdel Sisi said a reconstruction of the Gaza Strip should immediately be launched once a ceasefire is reached in collaboration with the Palestinian government and the United Nations. The remarks were made at the meeting between the president held with Qatari Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdel Rahman bin Jassim al-Thani. The meeting asserted the importance of mediation efforts by the two countries in coordination with the United States to reach a ceasefire deal in the Gaza Strip and to ensure a release of hostages and prisoners and to reject any military reoccupation of the territory and displacement of Palestinians. The two sides also emphasized the importance of the establishment of the independent Palestinian state. Over bilateral relations, the two sides expressed joint will to upgrade these relations in a way that achieves the aspirations of their peoples and copes with current regional and international challenges. President Abdel Sisi on Monday stressed Egypt's keenness to continuous coordination and cooperation with the Bahrain Kingdom across different fields in reflection on the deep historic relations binding the two peoples. This came as the President received Bahrain's National Security Advisor and Royal Guard Commander Sheikh Nasser bin Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa and Bahrain's Special Operations Commander Sheikh Khalid bin Hamad bin Isa. Presidential spokesman Ambassador Mohammed al-Shinawi said the two Bahraini commanders conveyed greetings from King Hamad and Crown Prince Salman bin Hamad to the President. They also praised President Sisi's efforts in supporting of regional security and stability. The meeting reviewed means of enhancing bilateral cooperation as well as developments in Gaza and efforts to reach a truce, a ceasefire, and to hasten a flow of aid into the enclave. It also stressed the importance of continuing other tensions in the region to maintain regional stability and security. Welcome back. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Migration Badr Abdel Ati on Monday stressed Egypt's solidarity with the Palestinian people and rejected the deliberate starvation campaign launched by Israeli occupation authorities. Addressing a joint press conference with Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa in the front of the Rafah border crossing with the Gaza Strip, the foreign minister said Egypt has been and will continue to support the Palestinian legitimate rights to establish an independent state on the borders of June 1967.
Minister of Foreign Affairs and Migration Badr Abdelati on Monday stressed Egypt's solidarity with the Palestinian people and rejected the deliberate starvation campaign launched by Israeli occupation authorities. Addressing a joint press conference with Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa in front of the Rafah border crossing with the Gaza Strip, the Foreign Minister said that Egypt has been and will continue to support the Palestinian legitimate rights to establish an independent state on the borders of June 1967. Abdelati stressed that Egyptian position towards the Palestinian cause is unshakable, addressing and adding that Egypt rejects all sorts of attempts to evacuate or relocate Palestinians away from their land.
First of all, our message is very, very clear to our brothers and sisters on the other side of the border, as we are here a few meters from our brothers and sisters on the Palestinian Rafah. Of course, a message of solidarity, a message of unity, a message of full support. We are doing everything in our hands. We are doing our maximum, with a clear-cut instructions from President Sisi to provide all kind of support, assistance to the Palestinian people on the other side of the border in Gaza.
The press conference was held upon arrival of Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati and the Palestinian Prime Minister at the Rafah land port in northern Sinai Governorate. They were leading a high-level Palestinian delegation. Minister of Social Solidarity Maya Morsi, Northern Sinai Governor Khalid Mujawir also participating in the visit. Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa, for his part, thanked President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and the Egyptian state for efforts to alleviate the suffering of the Palestinian people, to put an end to the Israeli war and blockade, and to advocate a reconstruction of Gaza under the leadership of the Palestinian Liberation Organization despite huge pressures. Mustafa also said that the Palestinian government is ready and able to shoulder responsibility of Gaza in collaboration with brotherly states, the Palestinian private sector, and NGOs, as well as the United Nations.
Meanwhile, Egyptian Red Crescent is dispatching the 17th humanitarian aid convoy to the Gaza Strip via the Rafah border crossing on Monday. The convoy is part of Zaid al-Izzah from Egypt to Gaza, initiative that has been launched by the Egyptian Society since the 27th of July to alleviate humanitarian suffering in Israeli besieged Palestinian enclave. The convoy's trucks are carrying hundreds of tons of humanitarian supplies, including food, medical, and relief materials. They are bound to enter Gaza after being checked by the Israeli authorities at the Karam Abu Salim crossing point. The Red Crescent is also coordinating the flow of aid sent by other organizations and states from all over the world since the war began. Four Palestinians, including a girl and a woman, were killed and others wounded in Israeli airstrikes in the Gaza Strip as Israeli war of destruction and starvation continued. The Wafa news agency said the girl and two other people were killed in an Israeli strike that hit a school in the northern Gaza city, while the fourth, a woman, was killed in Israeli shelling of the house in the Nusayrat camp in central Gaza. The health ministry in Gaza said Israeli war has killed more than 61,944 Palestinians. Most of them are civilians since October 2023. The war has also caused a hunger crisis internally, displaced most of Gaza's population, and left much of the enclave in ruins. Meanwhile, rights group Amnesty International Monday said Israel is carrying out a deliberate policy of starvation in the occupied Gaza Strip. The group also said Israel is systematically destroying the health, well-being, and social fabric of Palestinian life. Amnesty added that over the past 22 months, Israel is creating calculated life conditions for Palestinians in Gaza to bring about their physical destruction, which is part of Israel's ongoing genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. And U.S. President Donald Trump said reclaiming Crimea or entering NATO were off the table of Ukraine for President Volodymyr Zelensky arrived in Washington for Monday talks aimed at ending the war with Russia. Zelensky will meet Trump in Washington on Monday, accompanied by European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen and other leaders. The meeting comes on the heels of summit between Trump and Russia's Vladimir Putin in Alaska on Friday, after which Trump pivoted to the long-held Russian position that a ceasefire was not needed before a final peace deal. Russian crude oil flows to Hungary and Slovakia via Druzhba pipeline were halted on Monday, with Budapest blaming a Ukraine attack on a part of the network. Ukraine has stepped up attacks on Russia's energy infrastructure recently, while Russia also kept in attacks in Ukraine. Ukrainian authorities said Russian attacks on Ukrainian cities of Kharkiv and Zaporizhzhia killed at least 10 people on Monday. And two Pakistan authorities resumed rescue and relief work on Monday in the country's northwest, where flash floods have killed over 300 people after heavy rain faced them to suspend operations for several hours. Heavy rains that started on Friday have claimed lives and spread destruction in several northern hilly areas. The rains caused flash floods as well as mud and rock slides that washed away houses, buildings, vehicles, and belongings. Buner district was the worst hit with over 200 deaths. Welcome back. On behalf of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli headed for Japan, where he takes part in the 9th Tokyo International Conference for Development, the TCAD, due to be hosted by the city of Yokohama on August 20 to 22nd. The Prime Minister is due to attend the conference inaugural session along with heads of states for African countries, as well as chiefs of international and African institutions. On the sidelines of the conference, Madbouli will hold talks with the high-ranking officials and the co-chair the Egyptian-Japanese Business Forum. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli today reviewed a report by the Federation of Egyptian Chambers of Commerce on a recently launched initiative on slashing prices. The report pointed out with the starting of the implementation of this initiative through many procedures in different governorates. In the report, the Federation, in addition, said it set an earlier date for the summer sales season with the participation of more than 2,000 shops and up to 50% discount on offered commodities, which is due to extend until the start of the academic year. The report also detailed the Ministry of Supply's procedures to provide up to 18% sale on food commodities through more than 1,000 selling outlets affiliated to the holding company of food industries nationwide. Egypt's bourse closed in fluctuation today amid sell-offs by foreign corporations and Arab foreign investors against purchases by local and Arab corporations and local investors. The market capital of listed companies lost 4 billion Egyptian pounds, crossing 2.5 trillion pounds at the end of the average net transactions of 31.1 billion pounds. The benchmark EGX 30 fell 0.4% above the 32,824 point mark. The equal weight indices EGX 70 and 100 both rose 0.7%. Oil prices fluctuated today as investors weighed the impact of talks between U.S. President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Russia, a major crude producer. London's Brent crude sold the benchmark of international oil rose 0.3% of $66.33 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude surged 0.4% at $63.07 per barrel. Welcome back to the world of sports. Egypt clinched the 5th place in the 2025 11th IHF Men's Youth World Handball Championship after a 33-31 win over Iceland. The young Pharaohs made a stunning comeback in the game's second half after 16-10 loss to their European rivals in the first half. They beat Norway 47-26 in the tournament's 5th place playoffs last Friday. Arsenal kept at bay Manchester United explosively assembled forward line to win 1-0 in the marked match in the opening round of the Premier League, while Arsenal followed likely title rivals Liverpool and Manchester City in claiming an opening weekend victory. United fell to a loss that is all too familiar under Ruben Amorim following a woeful 15th place finish last season by English soccer's fallen giant. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all from me, Abir Mitwali. Thanks for watching, and please stay tuned for more to come.